Well, I started, you know, as a DJ first, and I was 14 years old when I first got my equipment. Well, I didn't get my equipment. I took my mother's speaker, my uncle's turntable from his house, and then somehow or another, you know, started figuring out a way to make the music blend together, because there were no mixers back in the days. You have to just try to go from one speaker to the other. And I started doing that as a kid. Then in high school, you know, the boombox. I was one of the dudes with the boombox in high school. By the time I got to college, I knew that I had an idea. I wanted to do something in radio, and I went to LaGuardia Community College for 2 years. And that's when I got an internship. That was the thing about LaGuardia. They had internships, and you could go there and you could work at different places. So I worked at all these places. I worked at Fox 5. Well, it wasn't even Fox 5 yet. It was something else. It was like an independent channel here. I worked at Manhattan Cable, which Manhattan Cable is the first cable company, if I'm not mistaken, in the United States. And it was only in, from 23rd Street to 96th Street in Manhattan. Other than that, nobody else had cable. You just watched Channel 2, Channel 4, Channel 5, Channel 7, Channel 9, 11, 13, maybe 21, maybe, you know? And so, at 31, right, UHF. And so, so that was my first introduction to what cable was all about. So I was there from the beginning of cable. And I got people go, you're a hip hop pioneer. I said, I'm more like a TV video kind of pioneer. You know, that was really my thing, you know. And during those years of doing the internships, my partner who you saw on the show, the Vid Kid, he was going to school for law at City College. Russell Simmons went there as well. And we were like, we gotta do something, we gotta be somebody. And at some point down the line, you know, I started working at WNYC, which is Channel 31. And that was my last internship. And they hired me when I graduated. I went to New York Institute of Technology in Westbury after that. And then I graduated with the Bachelor of Fine Arts. And they said, you know, when you graduate, you got a job. So I started, it was a city job. And I worked for the station as an engineer, and you know, basically, you know, we pulled cables and did all that kind of stuff. And within that year, I said to myself, this programming is so horrible, you know, that we have here. We were showing like, you know, like just like training for fire department, training for the police department. And I was like, why does this have to be on television though? Like, does it have like a hall or something that you can watch this at? And eventually, you know, I came up with the idea, I came up with the idea to play music videos because some music videos came in. And music videos weren't even seen prior to that. You know, it was like, they said MTV, like MTV says it's like 81 or something and stuff, but we didn't see MTV because nobody had cable. MTV is a cable thing, that was totally cable. And so we got these music videos and they were like R&B artists like Rick James and the Whispers and you know, Lionel Richie and artists, the Pointer Sisters, and I was like, yo, we should put this on TV. And so he was like, why? Why would you put that on? I said, yo, because I would watch it if I was home. And so we started talking about that, and we used them during fundraisers. You know, like you see Channel 21, they have fundraisers, Channel 13, they have fundraisers. And we started playing them during the fundraisers, and when they played the music videos, the numbers were up, like people were donating money, you know, and they were like, yo, you might have something going on here. I didn't hear anything. This guy came up with all the tapes that I had kind of given them to use for the fundraiser, and he was like, we're doing a show. I said, who's we? And you know, he says, well, I'm doing it, and it's going to be called Studio 31 Dance Party. I was like, that's my idea. What are you talking about? You can't take my idea. I said, well, I'm going to be the voice of the show. I already had a job. I was an engineer. And I started being there. I started as the voice of Studio 31 Dance Party. We did like maybe 4 shows. And I still have them. You know, we used to play this song called Video Burnout as the intro. And we played those videos, you know. And then after a year, after me harassing this guy, because I used to tell him, no, you gotta play this, that's whack, don't play that. And after a while, he hated me. And he was like, all right, you do the show. And I was like, yes. And so I just started it, and that was the end of 82, and by 83, I said I want to change the name to Video Music Box, and that's how Video Music Box started.
Cool, cool. It's a good entrepreneurship story. I'm actually inspired to ask you a question someone asked me recently at the exhibition. As a younger person, they were like, you know, how do you break in to hip hop now? And it's funny because I could have answered that very easily 15, 16 years ago. You know, even when you showed the clip of the young LL Cool J, and he did something that I did when I was young and I was a rapper. He just went to the record store, turned over the records, got the address, and sent the tapes in. If you tried that now, like, you know.
Well, you can't try that now because there is no record store.
Exactly. There's no record store, and it wouldn't even make it past the mailman to get up into the building. So the landscape changed so much. I mean, you just described a story that was very much, you know, sort of rooted in a whole different structure of opportunity. So, you know, what's the answer to the question of how does a young person who's interested in hip hop, but not necessarily wanting to be a performer, how can they get into hip hop?
I mean, right now, if you don't want to be a performer, there's a lot of opportunities. You know, that's why there's so many bloggers out here. You know, they can say whatever they want. They're part of hip hop now. You know, so, but if you're an artist, you know, I mean, you know, we still do the conventional things. You know, you make records. I have an artist here now, Sam Hill. You know, this weekend I told him, I said, we're going to do a bunch of gigs and you're not going to get paid for it. And, you know, yeah, I think you should get paid for it, but you're not. And you're just going to try and open up for artists. And that's what it's going to be. And it's about getting your name out there and letting people know who you are. And, you know, and you're probably going to give away some music. And that's going to be what it's going to be about, because that's what happens. People are not paying for records right now. I said, but make some t-shirts and some other stuff.